All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live with West Coast hip-hop legend. We got the one, the only Marvaless live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. What's up with it?
Oh, everything's pretty good down here in Canada. I have to ask you, how's everything going on the West Coast, because this past year and a half has been just absolutely terrible for everybody worldwide.
Well, I mean, it's cool. We still rocking and rolling. Man, for me, I've tapped in a lot more with the internet and my internet promo game. But shoot, we jumping back on that road shortly. So shoot, right? We still rocking and rolling.
And I gotta ask you, Marvelous, taking you right back to the beginning of things. What actually made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
That was what pretty much one of the main parts of our household was we was always singing, dancing, doing something pertaining to music. So it was kind of like a natural thing.
And I also have read as well that you actually got into the music industry directly. I think 1 year after high school, and you actually got connected with another West Coast legend by the name of Sibo. How did yourself and Sibo actually get connected?
Well, shoot, we was both pretty much known around Sacramento for rapping, years before that. So, we knew a lot of the same people. So, yeah, right after high school, pretty much that year after that, I was able to link up with him, man, and the rest was history.
And I gotta say, Sibo is such a phenomenal individual as well. I interviewed him about a year and a half ago, and I have to say he is probably one of the most down-to-earth individuals I actually had on my station.
Yeah, he most definitely is. Yep, I second that.
And I gotta say as well, I think he's one of the only individuals that actually rapped his statement to the judge, actually in the courtroom, and actually walked out. So
that's history right there.
And also as well, I had a lot of individuals actually, leading up to this interview, wanted me to ask you about your debut album. I was actually wondering, what's the story behind Ghetto Blues? And of course, doing that debut record, did you really think that album was going to be as famous as it is today?
No, I mean, well, as I was making it, no, that really wasn't my main focus. It was just more geared toward making some dope music, and shit, that's where I came from. So that that album was pretty much a big part of my life as far as my story. So, yeah, I didn't really sit back and think, this album is going to do this, do that. It just kind of happened. So, man, it was dope.
And I got to say as well, my favorite track off that album is actually Kill the Disrespect. I find you actually went hard in the paint with that track.
Yeah, that was produced by DJ Extra Large. Yeah, that was one of, because I started out battle rapping, so that was like an in-between type of song right there. But yeah, that's one of my favorites too off the album. Yeah.
And also in 1996, you actually had the opportunity to work alongside the late great Tupac Amaru Shakur on the track titled "Never Be Peace." I was wondering, how did you actually get connected with Tupac? And of course, what was it like being in the studio with him?
Oh man, it was phenomenal, man. He was had really dope energy, good spirits. His work ethic was crazy. So man, it was an honor to be to be able to work with him and just connect on the music. That was one of the things that I wanted to do just as an artist. So to be able to do it, it was super, super, super dope. And Bo and them had went out there with him first and did Trade and War Stories and We Ain't Hard to Find, and then so I came after without them a couple times. So yep.
And I have to ask you, because I heard many stories pertaining to Tupac, how he wrote his lyrics and just banged out the song so quickly. How long did it take him to actually do his verse for Never Be Peace?
I mean, I can't remember the exact amount of time, but it wasn't long at all, really, for any of us, because it was like a groove we was in. So he was in there knocking songs out back to back. So it wasn't really no time to sit there and linger around and do all that. You kind of had to get it done. And so yeah, I can't remember the exact amount of time, but shoot, that song as a whole, we knocked that out pretty fast.
And one last thing I have pertaining to Tupac before I move off the topic was, a lot of individuals, they always portray Tupac, like, not, I wouldn't say a lot, but some portray Tupac as this like thug and a gangster. Like, what was Tupac like behind the cameras? Like, can you tell us a bit more about Tupac as a person?
Well, I mean, from the times I was around him, he was pretty much the same. You know what I mean? But it's probably the atmosphere we was in. You know, it wasn't. We was making music and having a good time, so there wasn't any type of negativity involved in that. I was there when they made the "Hit 'Em Up" out song. You know, so that was dope to be a part of that history. Just being there, you know. And it was a lot of really, really, really dope people coming through the studio. So the experience as a whole was just dope.
And I got to admit, being there for the Hit 'Em Up must have been a surreal experience, and must have been a very hostile environment as well, because that's probably one of the biggest and most famous diss tracks of all time.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody in there was pretty much had the same energy. So yeah, it wasn't really too much hostile like that, but you know, the energy was definitely there for that song.
And also, in a way, since we're kind of talking about Hit 'Em Up, obviously who it was geared toward was Biggie Smalls and Bad Boy Records. But I also noticed that you had the opportunity to perform with the late great Biggie Smalls. I was wondering, how did you actually land that gig with Biggie? And of course, what was it like being on stage with him?
Oh man, that was so long ago. I was so young. I'm trying to think who hooked me up with that show. Dang, I remember it was at Cal Expo out here. That was actually before I even dropped the album, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that had to be one of my old school clubs. But yeah, it was dope, man. You know, but we was living in the moment, so it wasn't like, you know, later on I knew Biggie Smalls was gonna be this, you know, this and that. But so anytime I ever got on the stage was a dope experience, you know, regardless as to who I was on the show with. But yeah, that to be a part of that history is that's dope too.
And I gotta say as well, quickly, just rest in paradise to Tupac and Biggie, two very talented individuals gone way too soon. And also, you were actually a member of the hip hop group 916 Alliance. I was wondering if you could tell us a story behind that group, and of course, how did you meet the other members?
916 Alliance. That was probably around 17 when we did that. And that was pretty much a lot of the rappers from Sacramento came together to do a self-destruction type of song, you know, and then there was a lot of gang activity and stuff going on back then, so it was just something positive that we put together. Well, actually, it was a Sad Scene who put that together, and so we put it together, shot the video, and yeah, that just popped up on me recently, so it was dope to go back and see that old school footage in the video and, you know, be able to tap in with a lot of the people that was on the song.
And obviously that was many years ago, but do you think, like, maybe you guys might get together, like, maybe for a reunion show or a reunion record?
Yeah, I definitely, actually, a few years ago, Jay Synth put together another Silence and Violence album, but, I mean, record. But, yeah, I think we might try to pull one together with all the original people that was on the first one.
And also,
with the exception of Homicide, R.I.P. Homicide, yeah.
And also, I noticed as well that you actually had the opportunity to work alongside legendary female hip hop duo, the Conscious Daughters. I was wondering, how did you actually get connected with the Conscious Daughters, and of course, what was it like working with them as well?
Working on my first album, I was traveling a lot back and forth to the Bay, and you know, they was like all on the radio and everything, and they kind of like embraced me, you know, as you know, I was just coming in the game and like seeing the stuff that they had going on, and everything was like motivational to me, you know. I was like, shit, I could do this, you know. I'm about to be on the radio too, you know. All that, everything they was doing, being that we were so close in proximity as far as, you know, where we from. It was definitely motivational, and they embraced me from the beginning of my career.
And I gotta say as well, like, the Conscious Daughters are like two amazing lyrical MCs along with yourself, so it must have been such a surreal experience and so much energy in that studio to have three lyrical assassins like yourselves just tearing apart the microphone.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Everybody got in there and raised the bar, man. Yep. That's a classical song right there. That's one of the first songs that I've done that I collabed with female artists once I started dropping my albums. So yeah, that was definitely meaningful, man. Rest in peace, special one, the great, the Mike Strangler.
And I gotta say, rest in peace to her as well. She was such a phenomenal MC as well, man. Like,
For sure. Yeah.
and when we're still on the topic of like female MCs, I notice this a lot because I have a lot of individuals that reach out to my station every single day, and I was wondering if you can actually give some of these up and coming female MCs some advice on how they should go about their career. You know, because there still is some real female hip hop artists out there that's really striving to help keep the hip hop culture alive.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and salute to all the young ones out there rocking right now. The first thing I would say is to stay true to yourself and to who you are. You know, most definitely, that's something that's very important because it's real easy to get sucked into a lot of different things. You know, and the industry is kind of crazy, especially. I think it's even more crazier now probably than it was back then. You know, keep a good circle around you. You know what I mean? Learn your business, and man, stay focused.
And also, jumping ahead in the timeline here a little bit, last year you actually dropped the album Still Marvelous. I was wondering if you tell our listeners a bit more about that project, and of course, where can we snag ourselves a copy today?
Man, that's available everywhere online. You know, iTunes, everywhere, Amazon, anywhere you can download it online. I also have hard copies available. You know what I'm saying? But that album, you know, I hadn't dropped the album in a long time, and so yeah, it was just about that time. You know what I mean? My little homegirl had passed away, and she had kept asking me to drop an album. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drop it on her birthday. So yeah. So I had to put it in. The people, it was just something that they wanted, and I felt like the lane I was in really wasn't, you know, it was still there for me. So yeah, it was just that time.
And I do want to say just quickly, my sincere condolences to your friend and her family. I just want to say my condolences.
Thank you.
And when we're on the topic of Still Marvelous, do you have any hard copies available for the old school listeners that really do still love compact disc format?
Yes, I do. Tap in at queenbusiness@gmail.com.
Most definitely, ladies and gentlemen, get it or you will regret it. You know, supplies last. Make sure you snag it.
So.
But I gotta ask you, Marvelous, like, what is next for you? Is there anything I happened to miss during this interview? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote while we still have you here live on the Canadian airwaves?
Well, of course, y'all know I got Lil Marvaless. She dropped her debut album, Daughter of a Legend. That's available everywhere, streaming, wherever. She got hard copies, too. Me and her are actually working on an album right now called Like Mother, Like Daughter. So you guys got to stay on the lookout for that. She also has her High Visionary apparel. So you can tap in with her at highvisionary.com and cop some of her apparel. Man, we working, you know, putting together a tour. You feel me? Just celebrated my big bro's birthday, Sibo, with him out in Southern California. Salute to my squad, Sibo, Killer Tay, everybody, Looney, you know what I mean, the whole squad. Big Z Entertainment, my squad over there, the official Dirty Don, West Coast Offense, you feel me? The whole crew, man, everybody. Man, we working. That's all. That's the most I can say right now is working. We got a lot of beautiful things in the future. But that make sure y'all, the people listening, you tap in with Lil Marvelous. Don't forget that.
And also,
go download my album 1,000,000 times.
Most definitely. And if you can't afford to download it and purchase it, make sure you leave it on Spotify on replay over and over and over again.
Over and over. Yeah.
Don't let up. Keep it going.
For sure.
And Marvelous, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, and of course your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated everything Marvelous if they're not already doing so.
Yep. You can actually find me at pretty much everywhere under The Real Marvelous. And that's Marvaless. The Real Marvelous on YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. Twitter is just Marvelous by itself. But yeah, everywhere else, tap in with The Real Marvelous and make sure you link in with me. Yeah, Vivo. Make sure you add Marvelous Vivo. You feel me? I'm live everywhere, y'all. Tap in with me. I'm celebrating 27 years. This is my 27th year. So I definitely got some stuff in store for y'all for this 27th year anniversary. If you missed out on the last year's 26th year anniversary stuff that I had going on, tap in with me. QueenBusiness@gmail.com, man. Thanks to everybody that has rocked with me for so long. It's a blessing. Salute to y'all.
And I gotta say, Marvelous, first and foremost, thank you for years of amazing music. I know you most definitely made a positive impact in so many lives worldwide, so just thank you for your contribution to hip-hop.
Right on, right on.
Most definitely, Marvelous. Thank you so much, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night.
Okay, you do the same.